Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today I'm going to focus on analyzing Nasdaq just for today, Friday, December 13th, 2024. And then I'm going to try to do a video every other day, a few times a week, consistently on Nasdaq, and then we'll go from there. But with that being said, Nasdaq daily time frame, daily buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. We tapped into that at the beginning of the week. And we took out the sell side liquidity from Thursday, Friday, and Wednesday as well, I believe. Again, tapping into the 50% of the daily fair value gap, expanding higher, taking out the buy side liquidity for the week on Wednesday, completing the market maker buy model, creating a daily order block yesterday and Thursday, and then today taking out Wednesday's high, creating a new high the week for Friday. Coming down into the 1 hour time frame, starting the week off, basically we had our obviously Sunday's price action, and then during London session we took out the buy side liquidity, and then we collapsed, breaking below market structure, leaving a fair value gap right there. Okay. Then New York session came around. We tapped into the 1 hour fair value gap right there. Institutional order flow entry drill, displacement to the downside, and the drawn liquidity was essentially taken out Friday's low, just barely, with the wick right there, tapping into the daily fair value gap high right there that I was talking about. And then, of course, we have ourselves Monday's first presented fair value gap, and then the consequent encroachment of this 1 hour wick. And one more thing before I continue, I just want to mention that I'm just going to do this real brief Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday analysis action, and then I'm going to break down Friday on a detailed level and then kind of go from there. But with that being said, first presented fair value gap on Monday, 1 hour consequent encroachment of the wick. We tap into that on Tuesday, creating the high of the day on Tuesday. And then we displaced to the downside, taking out sell liquidity from Monday. And then last week, tapping into the consequent encroachment of the daily fair value gap here as well that I was mentioning. And then we energetically repriced higher to take out the buy side liquidity here, completing the market maker buy model after tapping into the consequent encroachment of the daily fair value gap or daily BISI premium high, same thing. And then we were respecting the daily BISI premium high on the lower time frame, providing this expansionary move to the upside, taking out buy side liquidity, like I mentioned. Thursday came around. This was a daily order block that was created right there. So it was a pretty slow day, not much there, but and then we had an opening range gap right here. I'm not gonna get into that. You can kind of Google or go on YouTube and study opening range gaps on ICT if that's something that you're into. But with that being said, today's price action Friday, taking out buy side liquidity right here. So buy side liquidity was grabbed and then a collapse to the downside, trapping all the buyers who got trapped and their buy stops and stop losses and so on. So buy side liquidity was grabbed, displacement to the downside to take out London sessions low, creating a low of the day right here, and then closing the opening range gap for yesterday, tapping into yesterday's 1 minute presented fair value gap. And then we then repriced higher, kind of essentially coming into this 1 hour order block. And as you can see here, we have our opening range gap high, consequent encroachment with a dotted yellow line of the opening range gap, and then the opening range gap low, of course, which you can find on the regular trading hours when you toggle the chart on the bottom right hand corner. If you study ICT, you'll know what I mean. But with that being said, I'm going to jump down into um, the 15-minute time frame. Again, I'm just analyzing today's price action on Friday. So again, buy side liquidity grabbed, displacement to the downside, taking out London sessions low, closing the opening range gap from yesterday, tapping into yesterday's 1 minute presented fair value gap. And then of course when we, the when we opened today, we opened with a this large gap to the upside, leaving the rest of the gap from the consequence. Obviously, we came back down and closed halfway into the gap, but we have the other from the low here to the opening range gap low would be an area that is still unfulfilled. So when we took out buy side liquidity here and here, and we collapsed to the downside, the drawn liquidity was the consequent encroachment of the opening range gap and also London sessions low. And then look at the precision of when we tap into first presented fair value gap right there as well from yesterday. And then we came up higher into the opening range gap high. And like I mentioned as well, into the 1 hour order block right there. And you can actually draw out, this is today's 1 minute presented fair value gap, which as well is another drawn liquidity. So, um, and this, yeah, so this is the zoomed in version of this analysis that I just gave you guys. Pretty straightforward. 5 minute time frame, expansion, taking up buy side liquidity, London sessions high, displacement to the downside. Um, this is on the 1 minute time frame, which I'll get into in a moment, but 5 minute order blocks are being respected right here. Order block respected, order block is respected as well. 5 minutes inversion fair value gap as well, displacement to the downside, and so on and so forth, taking out the sell-side liquidity and closing the opening range gap there as well, and then reaching for the consequent encroachment yellow dotted line of the opening range gap uh, for today. And we have ourselves the 1 minute presented fair value gap from yesterday that we tapped into as well. And then we came back up to then, I guess, like I mentioned, tap into the 1 hour order block level right there. But breaking it down, there's not really much to say here on the 5 minute time frame, other than the fact that we broke above market structure right here and kind of went higher. It's not really too much right there to describe, but coming into the 1 minute time frame, buy side liquidity. Well, so 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, market open. First presented fair value gap right there. This can be an institutional order flow entry drill buy to take out buy side liquidity right there. Okay. And then we then created a fair value gap. We close that fair value gap, it becomes an inversion fair value gap right there. Okay. And then displacing down to the first presented fair value gap of the day, coming back up, respecting the inversion fair value gap. Okay. And then we started to cascade lower, leaving a 1 minute fair value gap, institutional order flow entry drill, breaking below market structure as well, using today's first presented fair value gap as a level of resistance. 1 minute fair value gap right there. There's another one right there. And there's another one right there. Displacement again. I didn't have those marked up. I don't want the chart to be too messy, but I think I might start doing that because I would imagine a lot of you guys are going to be newer people watching my videos. So with that being said, we again break below market structure with a nice energetic price one to the downside, coming back up. And this shaded box with the white dotted line is essentially this 1 hour balance price range right there. And then on the 1 minute time frame, like I mentioned, we came back and respected the, again, 1 hour balance price range as well. Right there, we respected that consequent encroachment. Boom, cascaded to the downside. Tapped yesterday's 1 minute presented fair value gap, and then we kind of consolidated in a tight little range here. There's not much going on there, but eventually we came above right this level right here. Broke above market structure right there with this candle, and then we had a nice energetic price move up, breaking above market structure again, coming down into this 1 minute bounce price range right there, which is what was being respected to then climb higher. 1 minute fair value gap is being used and multiple times to then climb higher as well to finish off the rest of the day. But I wanted to mention one more thing as well, is that we have ourselves a nice fair value gap right there as well. I didn't really obviously mark these up, but nonetheless, like I mentioned, we have ourselves, 1 minute fair value gap right there, break above market structure, like I mentioned, and we continue to break up higher and continue to show signs of bullishness, and then 1 minute balance price range right there after breaking above market structure, and then so it's kind of pretty much what we have for the day, and appreciate you guys watching my video. Cheers.